Roll call. Go this way.
James Pfeiffer.
Robin Bowen.
Eric Prime.
Art Beagle.
Rob Daniels.
And would everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, it goes without saying since he already introduced himself, but we do want to introduce the Center Grove Schools non-voting representative to the RDC, Mr. Rob Daniels. Rob, you want to say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks, Eric. Looking forward to working with the RDC. I've been on the school board now for going on my 5th year. I'm in my 2nd term. Grew up in the area. My wife and I both went to Center Grove. We're excited about not only the growth in Bargersville, but the growth in the whole Center Grove area. By practice, I'm an attorney and have 2 girls that have come through the Center Grove school districts, and hopefully they'll relocate somewhere near here someday. But both in college right now. So thank you, and I look forward to serving with y'all.
Well, thanks, Rob. We look forward to having you as well. Next order of business is the approval of minutes from the August 12, 2021 meeting. Did everybody have the opportunity to review those? Any corrections or edits? If not, I'll accept the motion. So moved. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Roll call vote, left to right, please.
Aye.
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 All right, minutes are approved. New business. We've got Taxman project on here. Is that covered? Do we need to rediscuss that?
Just wanted to let the board know that there is a potential project that you may be seeing, and that Heidi will be running some calculations and bringing forward to you for your consideration.
All right, fantastic. Next item of business is a discussion of the amendments to the existing TIF areas. I think that's maybe Heidi's.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to walk through the timetable first? So Rich has put together a draft timetable of the process of the amendments. So maybe,
Do they have that?
It's in your packets.
Yep.
Okay. So those are the steps that are required under the statute for an amendment to an economic development area. And it's, as you'll see, it has to go through several steps. A declaratory resolution from you, then it goes to the Plan Commission for its approval, Town Council for its approval. Then there's a public hearing that's noticed in the newspaper, and it comes back to you for what's called a confirmatory resolution.
And will somebody prepare that declaratory resolution?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll prepare all the documents for you.
And that will be at the October meeting then?
Right, assuming that everything else, we get all the numbers together and exactly what the areas are going to look like that are being amended, et cetera.
Okay.
So all this is done via map too. We don't do legal descriptions just because we've found in the past that sometimes legal descriptions are not correct and it gets confusing. So the statute allows us to do it by boundaries, so we do it by maps.
And then do we need to have a discussion in the meantime about exactly what that's going to look like? Is that the next step?
yeah, so I think we do need to get actual map. We have
So you have
draft maps.
We have draft maps that we can put on the screens and talk about if we would like to do
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
And then we also, I believe Heidi has the list of parcels, and we were also going to talk about if there were parcels we were going to remove from these areas.
Yeah, so one thing that we are looking at, in addition to the amendments that we discussed at the last meeting that the maps represent, is looking at your current allocation areas to see if there are any parcels that are generating negative incremental AV, and determining if we want to remove some of those or not. So that level of work needs to be done before we have like the final parcel list ready to go to implement into the declaratory resolution. I would assume by your October meeting, we'll have that level of work done. So I don't know, Julie, if you want to walk through.
So this is the Whiteland Road 135 allocation area. The,
That's the existing allocation area?
That's existing.
this is existing, and then the addition that we discussed on the southeast portion of that area, we added, looks like approximately 6 or 8 parcels on the eastern side of 135, where we know that Sundown Gardens to get down to where that development is going, and there's other development potentially in that area. So I don't know how aggressive we want to be.
Where's our eastern boundary? It's beyond that
Our east,
allocation area.
Yeah.
So we need to, because I think we have something at Plain
Straight down
Commission, don't we?
Honey Creek.
goes down Honey Creek.
Don't we have something that coming to us, if it's not already at Plain Commission? I've heard rumblings that someone's coming to us with some proposals on stuff east of this, in that area.
It has not been filed.
Okay,
East of these orange boundaries?
Yes, ma'am.
yeah,
Where are the town boundaries though?
another
Another,
That's a good way.
2,000 feet.
Yeah, it's a good way.
It's a few thousand.
You know, Honey Creek that comes down, it
Yeah.
separates. If you just take that straight down,
Okay.
it connects to the road.
Yeah, maybe pull up a map so everyone can see it. I mean, how often, if we want to come back and change it because that property just east of where we are, if something's coming to us and we know it's gonna happen, that's kind of a pain, right, Heidi?
Heidi, the
I mean, like, are we
boundaries
better
out
off to
here.
just do that now?
So you can expand the EDA boundaries if you know if you need to spend your TIF monies out in that area. If you know there's a potential project coming, then I would say you probably want to create a new allocation area around that site and extend your EDA boundaries out to the site. Because that industrial park area, the life of it's already started. It ends in 2037, I would say.
So the majority of this would be retail type growth along the 135 corridor.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think like, I've heard rumblings about someone trying to do self-storage or something else behind the corner there.
Okay.
On some of that back property, which,
Well, the commission did approve that multiple story, self-storage just south of, south, whatever that.
South Grove Landing or.
Yeah, just south of Danville, is that what?
Yeah, and
That's
that's,
what I'm talking about.
and that's
Yeah,
in
we
here.
need- Is that in there?
Yeah, that's in here.
That
Yeah.
is in there? Okay,
Yeah, so the Dana Miller property is right here.
okay, so that's already in that.
So then
That's what I was
this
talking
is
about.
what we were talking about that has just been through for plating.
Yeah, that was.
So that was also good, AB.
Gave it a favorable recommendation.
Is that,
There's no need to take that farther down, that 135 corridor down to 144 right now. I think we've kind of
I
talked
thought
about
we had
that.
discussed,
Huh?
I thought we had discussed taking it all the way down to 144.
So
I
that
would not take the allocation area down that far since it's all ag right now until something's gonna happen. The EDA boundaries again does not affect what's being captured at all in the TIF area. If you expand your allocation area, that affects what is being captured in your area.
Well, so just so we're not confused on process, the process that Rich outlined is to expand the actual TIF areas.
It does all of it. The EDA boundaries, the allocation area boundaries, and your plan. So if there are other projects that are not in your current plan that you want to add, this would be the opportunity to add those as well.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is you were just counseling not to go all the way down.
Your allocation
because
area,
it's
I would
ag.
not, no.
Okay.
So basically in the declaratory resolution for each allocation area, we'll say expand this allocation area by this list of parcels. Expand the consolidated EDA by this list of parcels.
Right. But that's not a super nimble process is what I'm getting at, because the timeline's into November before there's a final confirmatory resolution, right? So,
Yeah, I would just suggest that it get done by the end of the year, especially to pick up Dressler and some of the buildings that are in the midst.
no, I'm fine with that, but I'm just saying, if we're saying, let's not expand onto the ag areas now,
Okay, yeah,
but if we find out tomorrow something's coming in, then
Right.
we've got to start that
Oh, yeah.
2-month timeline to,
I mean, there's a lot of conversation about growth south of those properties.
right?
Now, whether or not they're primarily residential or mixed use or whatever they may be, in the next few years, it's going to happen. It's just how nimble can we be when it comes to the plan commission? Can we then get it added prior, the whole key, right, is to get it added prior to the assessed value date. So
before January 1.
Before January
Okay,
1.
so
When
we're,
the improvements are in place.
When the, right.
Yeah.
Right,
so
so,
we're- okay.
so it would be one of those things where, that's why it's so good to have a member of the plan commission on this committee, because he'll know, hey, we just approved this. This is coming in the next, 6 months, and we need to add this to the area because we want to make sure we capture that assessed value.
And I mean, in the TIF areas that you have already, that the life has already started, I mean, I'm gonna suggest to you in most cases that you create a new allocation area to take advantage of a longer life. So, and if it needs to be around one parcel multiple times, then, I mean, there's truly some strategy around that.
yeah, we're
Because
having,
that goes back to what Adam was talking about, that you only have a statutory limit, right, of
25 years, but the 25 years doesn't start until bonds are issued.
Until the legislature meets again.
Right.
Yeah.
Until they get smart and realize what they've done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when they find out she's making comments like this.
So hopefully this isn't on air.
There's too many legislators who are too involved in all of the benefits of this that.
Yeah, we fight TIF all the time because it's too sweet. That's why people need to take advantage of it.
So maybe I'm missing something here. What are we expanding to? Do we know at this point?
So we have an approved plat here, and then we have an approved development plan here that is getting ready to start construction next year, which will be a garden center.
But all of this is already in the,
And then everything, so from all of this, and everything north, this is all already in.
yeah.
What's
So-
not in right now?
Yeah, what are we
that
expanding
part
to?
Right there,
Basically from here
so.
south.
Okay,
So it's essentially Dana Miller's and that south.
Dan Miller south. Open to thoughts, comments, critiques.
so wait a minute, this is what's proposed, as it sits right now, this is not in,
Correct.
okay.
and how many parcels is that?
6, it looks like 7.
Okay,
Roughly 10.
Do we want to exclude
You got the ball.
Yeah.
if we wanted to change that, I mean, does it make sense to exclude the school's property
So how
and
do
the
you
hospital's
thinking
property?
on that expansion? It's just the ADA, it's not
Yeah,
an allocation area at this
We're
point.
never gonna get
This one, it
any
will
ED
be
from
that.
school property.
It will
Well, and the hospital property,
EDA and.
I mean, I guess that could change hands, right?
Yeah.
That's the theory there.
That one may be worth keeping in, I suppose.
be. Is that the only
I
thing
thought
we're
we
doing
talked
with
about
this
The
amendment?
fact though that keeping the school name gives
In
us,
this area.
again, if we wanted to do trails or something, keeps it contiguous.
In the
She
economic
can talk about
development
that.
area,
Okay.
maybe not in the out,
Yeah.
it just,
Confusion, yep.
yeah, I mean, there's what, how many
Is
acres
there
there
a way
that will
on these
never get
maps to like
paid?
hash what's gonna be?
It's a big parcel.
I will send you that version.
Okay, because I think that'll be,
Okay.
I mean.
Yes, we'll
obviously we'll need a
send you that
parcel list,
version.
Yeah.
I just.
Show me what's existing and what's
GIS
new.
hasn't
Yeah.
Sent those back out to us yet.
Heidi and Rich, what's your take on keeping a giant parcel that includes, that's currently and will be for the foreseeable future school property?
So this is school, but this is the railroad track that we used to connect this area to the industrial park area south of here. So I wasn't sure if we should remove those or not.
We still touch the
Obviously,
railroad track.
All the way, it comes up to here on the east side,
As long as you still have that connection with the railroad.
then it doesn't matter, right?
No, doesn't matter.
We can take them out, it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't hurt or help anything.
What was the original thought of putting it in?
I don't remember what the original idea was
Was it
for
here
putting
when
them
that
in.
was there?
Well, we don't have this piece, right?
Yes, they bought that now.
Oh, they have that now. All right, so yeah, this is that entire chunk.
Yeah.
School owned.
I probably was around, but I plead no contest. I can't remember what I did yesterday, so.
Well, we still get the railroad with the eastern piece.
Yeah.
That comes over and touches on that side, so it just seems kind of waste to have it in there if it'll never generate any AV.
Yeah, there's no plans to spend the TIF monies there.
Is there any benefit of excluding that? Does it matter?
It doesn't, but if we're amending it, you might as well clean it up and remove it. It's just more parcels in the database that they have to administer and could potentially mess up.
Right. So then, I mean, so one day if the school did sell, which I don't.
Then you can add it back
Let's just say
in.
one-
Plans to sell.
We can always add it back. Yeah,
Yeah, if the school would sell for some reason in the future and you wanted that property, then you would just set up a new
Add
TIF
that.
area.
so it might make sense to just exclude all the school's property from that map.
Wonder if anything kind of small commercial goes on the southwest corner of South Club and Whiteman, that's been approved. It's been approved from the standpoint of zoning.
That's not
Correct.
in there.
Pardon?
That's not in that map.
That's what I'm saying.
Right,
Does this create any connectivity to it?
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean, it's not hurting anything one way or the other. I mean, I was on the school board when we arranged to buy all that. So it's not hurting or not helping. Could it create connectivity to the Saddle Club?
But as long as you have a road that would connect, you'd be
Okay.
okay.
So like Saddle Club, that whole road that connects that you could, okay. So that,
We can take Whiteland and use that.
yeah, okay.
I guess from the schools, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask, does the ownership of the road matter? Do we technically have to have, does it technically have to be a Farmersville owned road, or can it be a county road?
No, it can be a county road.
Okay.
From a school's perspective, I don't think we would have a strong opinion one way or another. I mean, I hate to talk on behalf of the entire board on an issue that just came to me, but at the same time, there's no current plans to sell a school and there's, at the same, I could see the school someday asking for TIF funds for some project that would benefit Barbersville, so that would be the only reason to maybe keep it in. It would be up to the board to say yes or no to any kind of request. And that parcel down there, Mark, you referenced, it was sold and it was then reacquired.
That area would not have to be in order for the school to benefit from TIF.
It would not. And it wouldn't have to be in an EDA or anything.
Because it serves the TIF area. The whole school corporation serves the TIF area.
But I would assume we're neutral on it.
All right. So do we need to take a vote on expanding, is that a voting item to expand the TIF area as delineated here, or we're just?
You'll do that when you pass the
That'll be
declaratory
in
resolution.
the resolution. Okay, fantastic.
Is this something that's done like annually in a town like ours? I mean, the southwest corner of Smoky Road Road and 135, there's nothing happening there yet, but it's just a matter of time, and we're not going to that hard corner. Is that, again, do we just look at this annually and then we say,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna do this annually?
Most do.
Okay,
And you can
When
do
the
it
need
multiple
arises.
times a year if you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
When the
something
need
pops
arises.
up.
and that's not a big deal.
No.
I mean, you see the 4-step meeting process that you have to happen and it can get done in a couple of months. So it can be pretty quick if it needs to be.
We just have to get on it as soon as
Right.
something gets
Pretty
approved.
year or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we just need somebody on the plan commission to keep us posted.
Great job. That's all I got.
No pressure.
All right, we're gonna hit any other areas?
Yeah, I've got the 37 area. The primary new one is on the northwest, that large, I think it's roughly 40-acre piece. connected in.
The long strip or the,
The long
Yeah,
strip.
long strip.
The thinking on these, I mean, those two
Not
parcels there, the exclusion of those, are those,
They're residential. We can put them in if
no,
you want,
no,
They
you don't want to.
but
We'll jump
no,
on that.
until they
No.
change, until they change to commercial properties.
Right.
Excluded.
they're just homes right now.
Yeah, there's a reason for that too. Having residential in can hurt you in the long run.
Right.
In the property, what was the one where the car, Mustangs rebuild and everything? Level 37.
Oh, that's,
That's down, because I had it listed at one time, but it is currently under contract for a new owner. I mean, that area is starting to get attention from an industrial office area. Right there around that little, just kind of west and northwest of Netheries, the DP.
in here,
Actually, it's already in our area.
okay. Now, this area, I know that this property owner here is trying to look at industrial. I don't know how they're gonna do it, because it's like on the side of the cliff, but, I guess we could wait on that. I mean, that won't be homes there, I can assure you that. West of 37, south of 144. I don't know how they're gonna, anyone can do anything with it, but
What's the swoop going through there? Is that the proposed on-ramp or what, the curve?
that's the new ramp.
Yeah.
It leaves some really awkward remainder parcels.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, and remember, there's a creek that goes through there, there's a lot of topography change. Right,
So, on this particular area, this was the underperforming one, right? But we're wanting to
Yes.
reset
We're gonna reset the base
base.
of this area.
So you just want areas that are gonna be developed, correct?
Reset the base.
Okay, so there's a large portion
of this that won't ever get
We'll talk about
redeveloped.
it.
that
I'm not
won't
sure.
get redeveloped.
Has it never started?
No,
It started with negative.
I mean, I think some
Oh.
of that's it.
So the,
Yeah.
Whole
so
application area
these
is
white,
negative.
where the white
They
lines
wanna reset
are,
the base
hey,
date
Rob,
up to page
Okay.
one.
Well, no, just shrinking this one down a
The
little.
whole-
Yeah, that's what, and then a large portion
It
of
needs
that
to
is
be-
never gonna get
it
developed.
needs to be
So you're
north
just
of
gonna
these
like
white lines, right?
reestablish
Like
it as
this
a new,
down here.
So there's
take it
three
out and put it
pieces
back in? Okay.
there.
Well,
There's three southernmost
I don't think I've ever,
parcels.
I've never seen that.
This
The
whole
reset the
area.
base.
Yeah, everything south of that is never gonna.
I've
Okay.
never seen anything that's been negative.
Is that
Robin said about
within
it.
that conservation
We set it
area?
up to really.
Yeah, part of that is a conservation area. but
Allocation area.
I full
Okay.
disclosure, my husband and I own that.
Yeah, that's.
No.
not gonna- Yeah.
I thought that
Yeah.
transferred
Yeah, so
since we
needs to
said
be
it.
North of that white line.
So it's already in it, it just,
This
as we
is-
do
this
the
is-
adjustments, it just needs to be pulled out.
And conservation. So this is never gonna get
The-
developed,
Okay, south of the line.
south of those lines, so it needs to be north of those lines.
Okay, so we need to remove those parcels.
Yeah.
Those three
Yes.
parcels.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put a liquor store back there.
Basement.
and then, is it this parcel that I believe is, we have a bunch of different residential developers that are
Yes,
sniffing around on this one now,
correct.
so we don't want.
So the opportunity there would be a residential housing tip, which we talked about as well. But I think you guys, if it's in a target area. They have a new neighborhood going up though, so it's gonna wash out the 1% calc, but if it's in a economic target area. We could potentially set it up as a residential housing TIF, maybe.
I just don't know how much TIF you're gonna generate, whether it's worth the bother.
but True.
For
For the residential housing TIF, it takes a lot of homes at a very high value to even be worth your time.
So if you had, is that 40 acres, Gene?
60,
60, but 30, it's not
40 of it's not developable at most.
at most. So best case scenario, you're getting 75 homes on there,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, the developer came and met with some of the families that live in the contiguous area, and she was proposing like 130 or 140, but
130 is the current.
no idea how, because that back part is.
Does she need infrastructure? Does she need water, sewer, anything like that? Or is that,
Well, we're in the process of expanding sewer to this whole area.
so she would have it,
Well,
or they would have it, whoever would have it?
eventually,
Yeah.
but we could, and water's already there. But I guess what you're thinking is if there's infrastructure needs,
I'm thinking that developers may ask for some help, but if they're not asking for help,
That'd be the only reason to capture it.
that may be the only reason to
Resident
capture it, yeah.
well, I don't know that we want the folks that, the people who are talking right now are not probably developers that we want to go on. I mean, we'd like to see the front part of it be commercial. Adjacent,
I'm not sure it's gonna, that project.
it's not,
Okay, so let's not worry about it for right now, it sounds like.
yeah, so is the overall theme is until it gets through the planning commission, unless we know right now, there's no need to expand the map. But we should exclude these properties because we're 99.9% certain they're
Not
never
going to
gonna.
expand that strip to the north then?
I would do that.
So in that expansion on the northwest, didn't we talk about just expanding the EDA boundaries there for right now, or? And so that you could spend money there, but there was maybe
Yeah.
not
Not capturing.
capturing
'Cause
it in
it's
the
gonna
allocation
be-
area? Okay, so I thought we had talked
It's
about.
gonna be another 3 years before something's really
Yeah.
gonna go there because of the work on 69.
But if there are,
They won't-
infrastructure needs that you could use the TIF for to fund to make that site developable, then you have access to do that.
So that's all in the town boundaries, huh?
Yeah, we have some
Yeah.
really weird lines. It's a really odd western boundary.
Okay.
Yeah. On this one, primarily the change is adding the Dressler property right here.
If we know something's gonna be residential, for sure, do we take it out or just leave it again, like,
Take it out.
take it out?
Does it matter if it's single family versus multifamily versus apartments?
Yeah, it does matter. Yeah, so a 4-unit building is considered commercial,
Okay.
at least 4 units in a building.
Within a particular structure?
Yeah.
I can't imagine. No, not this piece. I can't imagine anything. Except for some nice things, maybe residential. I don't know. It's not gonna be apartments. It's
No.
not gonna be warehouse or storage.
So that parcel, I believe the one proposal that was in front of you,
Yeah, it's come in front of us a couple times.
and you, but it was split, so the northern part of that wasn't a part of that latest Harbor Homes proposal.
It all makes some sense, but it's just the density was.
So,
So Andrew,
Martha.
it's 2 parcels because it's 2 school districts.
so this parcel wasn't a part of the Arbor, this northern, and I could see that maybe having commercial, maybe. This is definitely all gonna be residential.
Yeah, I think
Which, Andrew, I didn't-
especially even the top part, but anyway,
But but it wasn't included in that Arbor,
I can't remember.
it wasn't.
Because, what was
It's
the
in-
guy,
it's in front of us.
the other private, what was the private builder's name that came before Arbor?
I don't know.
Matt Beecher.
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 Is that the area right behind the church there?
Yeah, that was,
Yes.
But this parcel is gonna have
Oh, absolutely.
multifamily.
yeah.
It's already approved and will probably, hopefully, break ground in the next 6 to 9 months. And it's 200-something units, apartments.
Where is that, Andrew?
But do we want that out? No?
Oh,
No.
That you absolutely want.
Apartments you can capture.
So apartments are going on the west side?
Of-
Okay. I thought that was-
Basically north of 2 Cent and west of 135.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Right here.
And then
But
it's
then
just south of that.
there's
is that Deer
residential
Creek down
around that. Right? They have some duplex homes. they're single-family homes, but on that kind of ring around here, but then this is all apartments.
Yeah, but it was a mix.
Right. But that'll be a nice increase to your budget in the next few years.
If there is the single family homes will be parceled out, which they should be, I would suggest that we remove those as they come on.
Okay.
Keep a note for that,
Yeah.
once that happens.
So move on.
And Dressler, we're adding to the allocation area and the EDA because it's happening.
Right, it's happening.
Yep. Is there a reason why the gas station's excluded from that?
I'm gonna have to
It was,
sit down with you with maps and,
Oh, I'm making notes on the maps for you.
it
okay.
was declining.
And I have a list.
It was what?
It was declining in value.
Which one?
The gas
The gas
station right here.
Yeah, so again,
Chicago's Pizza's not in there. Yeah, I mean, that whole little corridor is everything. He just remodeled a few years ago, so.
We looked at some of the properties, the existing commercial properties and kind of their history, and I think
we are in the midst of doing that to see which ones are negative, generating negative increment for you, and then pulling them out is gonna only benefit you. And you're-
What about some that aren't in, commercial that aren't in, that maybe should be?
I mean, if it's built and it was built before the TIF areas were created, there's no, at this point, would be no point to add them. But the ones that are generating negative increment and they're gonna continue on as they are for a while. We can remove them. Your TIF areas can look like Swiss cheese, it's fine.
I mean, the only thing I would add, Heidi, is that if we purchase these properties all around it, that one's going to increase, something's gonna happen with that
Okay.
corner.
Yeah.
I don't know that we need to add it just yet until we know what's gonna happen on that area.
Okay.
But even though it's prior to, it's already been built, if you do have an organization or a building that is doing well and they do an addition or they do something, even just the appreciation, that would help overall.
Appreciation technically is not supposed to be captured. So there's a neutralization that occurs
Okay.
to supposedly remove all that, but, so it's only new.
So it's a marginal benefit. Just the general appreciation of property and buildings,
You won't capture it.
you won't be able to capture it.
Any reassessment, you should not be capturing.
Okay, gotcha.
Even if they do a $2 million expansion,
Expansions are different.
No, that's,
I mean, if you're doing true renovations and constructions to a building, yes, most
Okay.
definitely you capture all of that.
Okay.
But if it's
there's two
just
different kinds of appreciations, I would assume.
reassessment type appreciations where the
from market
assessors,
values,
Gotcha.
market
Just
values go
adjusting,
up,
yeah.
you don't capture that.
Gotcha. Okay. That's helpful.
and then downtown,
downtown. So I'm open to thoughts and comments on here. We know that we have one immediate investment occurring downtown. I don't know, we have a couple other
Proposed, or things that are coming. we
things
think.
that are coming but are not as far along in their process.
We don't want to include that one part of the Umbarger warehouse building on the
I,
east side of 144.
so we can expand the EDA boundaries, I assume, down here and make it a part of the consolidated EDA, fine, right?
I remove
Connecting it somewhere, if you're connecting.
this for now.
So right
see
now,
what you're,
I would remove the
37
grain bins
industrial
right
park
here.
connect
Nothing's
to
happening on that
144.
anytime soon.
is that the road?
But I would add that. I mean, I think over in the next,
Which
I mean,
this is
or we can
144
wait.
that comes right
I mean,
through,
it's getting
Okay.
so it's connecting.
marginal improvements, right, and getting released. So there's not gonna be anything here, and if we know of something that's gonna happen, then it'd be like, about before we need to add it, but I would remove this because these grain bins are not going anywhere, and we're not.
Okay, so this amendment we're talking about is the EDA boundaries, so this is
Oh, this
not
is
the
not-
allocation area. So this is just the boundaries in which you can spend your TIF funds. And this is gonna be consolidated in with all of your other EDAs. meaning TIF from other areas, will be able to be spent here. So if there are needs down in that area, then
So
it's just
don't,
something to consider. But again, if it's road infrastructure or sidewalk improvement or whatever, Rich can tell you if it's connecting into the TIF area and serving the TIF area, that even though it's outside your EDA boundaries, you could probably still use your TIF funds for the project.
this is the E.
So,
So it's okay to have grain bins in the EDA.
But for
yeah,
the-
so your EDA boundaries don't affect your captured AV again, so.
Right, but we need to create an allocation area, we will, for the, P&L.
So I think that
For certain parcels, you're gonna.
for just the parcels for P and L, that we go ahead and set up that allocation area as its own separate allocation area within the big consolidated E EDA.
And did we want to include in that allocation area the parcel across the street that they may be?
Is the parcel across the street gonna be you guys?
Oh, yeah.
We also purchased.
Yeah,
Zero
that's
softball then.
right there, yeah, probably.
That will be after, you know.
Yeah.
Did they?
Oh, from their existing building?
Yeah,
I think they did.
but we probably don't need to tell.
But,
We
Yeah,
probably,
but you-
you probably have time on that.
but if it's a year and a half or 2 years down the road and you end up doing some kind of obligation, you don't want to start that area, so you might as well just
I
do
would
a
hold
separate.
off on
Right
that,
across the
Yeah.
street.
because with this one, we need to go on.
What
which,
about,
you
what
know,
Right.
about Johnson's Barbecue, that area, do we want to add that into the allocation?
Not until we actually have something that has a real,
Okay,
I would say take the same approach as we are on these other things where something goes to the plan commission that we know it's gonna be legitimate, maybe.
So we're okay with the proposal here for the
Yeah.
EDA.
Right, but for this allocation area, we're gonna do one just for P&L for now, and then as soon as we know of something else, then we'll need to add that. So like if this building down here happens, then we'll need to add that. If something happens on one of these properties, which there are people talking about stuff all along here as
Right.
well, then we'll need to add that.
And again, with each project, we're gonna strategize with you guys as far as making it a part of an existing allocation area or creating a new allocation area. I mean, again, there's so many options. Let's deal with them as they come. And just make sure again that you guys are all aware of them and are hearing about them. Your plan commissioner, Julie, or whoever it may be.
This is a general question. So if there's a little commercial parcel in Old Town and it's assessed for $85,000 and it's getting ready to sell for 3 or 4 times that, and it'll close this year, will that have an impact on appreciation? The fact that it does appreciate, we can't capture that appreciation?
Correct, you cannot capture that.
Because there was basically no improvement made, it was just based on what's going on, the demand.
Technically, if there's no improvements, you should not be able to capture that.
Yeah.
That large of an appreciation. Obviously, that's just not.
Sometimes if we see what I will call like a one-time change in the property, then in the neutralization calculation, we might let the TIF area benefit from that if it is truly that significant. But normally it does have to be true renovations to the building itself.
Okay, so if we know something like that's happening or going to happen, or it's,
But my next question would be, is something actually gonna happen on it, or is it gonna did it just sell and it's gonna sit there? I mean, I assume with a land sale, something's gonna happen with it, but
maybe not. My question though is, it's probably assessed for say $85,000 and the sales price is gonna be 3 or 4 times that.
Technically, you're not supposed to capture that.
yeah. I don't know that, I mean, you're not gonna get that much dollars from it, I don't think,
Okay.
ultimately.
It's a good question, though.
I just want to know what's important or not important to bring up. Would we have basic knowledge?
But if that same, if you had a decrepit house, right, and someone bought it for 3 or 4 times the value and then put in any kind of improvement to it. It doesn't have to be a
Yes.
tear down, then it would.
Right, it's that renovation, tear down, I
Yeah.
mean, that's all improvements to the property itself, building itself. But it just takes a significant something to happen on the property for you guys to really get that much from it.
A visible.
I mean, honestly, the property taxes that will even be paid on P&L are really not that, are less than maybe what you think that they're even gonna be, because it is just one single site. So, I mean, the numbers that we've seen are pretty, it's good for them.
Yeah.
That their property taxes aren't that high, but
All right,
It's all the areas.
anything else on TIF?
so the only other thing is, again, that we are looking at all of the TIF areas right now, and if there are any major parcels that are generating negative increment, those are additional parcels that you would consider besides what these changes already are, that might be added to that list of parcels to be removed or changed.
We'll do that as part of this declaratory process, so you guys will work together.
Yes.
We'll give Rich that information.
Yeah, so Julie and I will work together first to identify truly what she's comfortable with removing.
So we should see a proposed resolution at the October meeting.
Right.
Okay, fantastic. Anything else on TIF amendments before we move on? All right, Adam, we have a draft of our 2022 budget.
Anything else you need?
You have the floor.
Thank you.
Well, good morning, and had I known that we were going to be talking pizza, I would have had breakfast. That was an exciting project, so good luck with that. And so my engagement with the town is to help them prepare their 2022 town budget. So I serve essentially, it's kind of a day-to-day budgeting capacity for town council, town manager, clerk treasurer, et cetera. And as part of the town, the Redevelopment Commission is part of one of those funds. And we wanted to have the opportunity to work with Mr. Prime and town manager a couple weeks ago in looking at both your TIF revenue that's projected for next year, as well as just talking about some of these kind of project needs and those kind of things that certainly has been the bulk of your agenda. So a couple things just as a backdrop before we get into the schedules. So for the town of Bargersville, there's actually not a redevelopment department per se that's part of the general fund. So there's really no general property tax revenue and base taxes that are going to fund kind of a general fund redevelopment commission that you may see in other communities. So therefore, your budget is really your TIF appropriations. So it's essentially the incremental taxes based on your captured assessed value get pulled into different funds. And essentially this process, you're really just providing a means, authorizing yourself to be able to spend through those funds. So I said that because there's a little bit of budget philosophy difference there, right? When we're talking about traditional town budgeting, all the classic things come to mind. We want to be balanced. We want to think about financial reserves. We want to think about operating costs and those kind of things. Whereas within this paradigm, we're really just trying to give you all maximum flexibility to enter into different project agreements and negotiate as you have the financial means to do so. So what you'll see is a budget that's actually proposed to be significantly higher year over year. And the reason why is our methodology and how we're recommending your appropriations to be are slightly different. We're saying projected annual revenue plus projected ending cash on hand is essentially your maximum budget authorization. Okay, so think about it as like the maximum financial sources that you have today at your disposal before any additional bond proceeds or anything like that are entered into. Does that make sense? Okay, so with that as kind of context, what I'd turn your attention to is first is this sheet here. So what you'll see is just a quick little summary, working left to right. You have the account string, that's the actual budgetary code that the money is being allocated to. You'll see the account description, starts with revenues and then goes into expenditures, and then looks at 2019 annual actuals, 2020 annual actuals, year to date through 2021 as of June 30th. the original budget and then your proposed budget for 2022 highlighted in that yellow color. So as far as your,
It's actually green on ours.
Oh, is it really? Oh, okay.
For some-
that's fine. Yeah, okay, good. So good catch. So yours is green. So your revenue budget, we've actually increased a little bit just because some of the expected growth. So we've increased that to $251,500. And when we look at the current cash on hand as at the end of June, you had just under that 1.56 million in gross cash and investments. Therefore, what we're basically saying is that you have maximum financial capability then in locally controlled funds, cash that you already have in TIF. You have approximately $1.7 million in rough figures between cash on hand and projected future income. Okay. So then essentially what we're saying is that we want to be able to provide you budgetary accounts that allow you that as you're making decisions and you're approving dockets, those types of things, that the appropriations are set high enough to where you're able to kind of manage. And then you're really just kind of managing cash and managing at the project level. So that's why we've increased it, recommended to propose a budget that's actually relatively higher year over year because we've increased your capital outlay accounts. So when you look at the 2021 original budget, there were no dollars currently appropriated in capital outlays for TIF dollars. So any type of large expenditure, either parking lot improvement or right-of-way acquisition, would be capital. So we wanted to address that going into 2022. So we've increased, and then after working with Mr. Prime and Julie and just kind of talking about the order of events, obviously right-of-way acquisition is likely going to be a significant item, followed by infrastructure improvements, and then kind of just other capital outlays. So we've incorporated $900,000 worth of budgetary authority in those areas. Certainly there's a difference between what you actually spend in budget, right? So this again is just setting that authorization limit high so that you're able to spend the cash if you choose, and that's the commission's desire. We talked a little bit about reserves. So this budget, if you were to spend every single dollar of that budget, you would burn down cash by the tune of almost $800,000. Okay, so that would bring your cash balance down to $763,000. That brings you down to about 50% of where you're at today. So a couple considerations. One, the short answer is you could do that. I just want to be clear. You have the authority as the Redevelopment Commission to spend 100% of that, and you'd still have excess reserves. There's certainly discussions to be had with your financial advisor with regards to, when does it make sense to bond? When does it make sense to provide cash? But from the budget perspective, you have the capacity to do that, and you would actually end with over $750,000 in excess cash on hand to fund future projects. So that's the kind of the background, and then at the very bottom of your page, you'll see a detail of the capital outlays that are currently being tied out, and that's what this subschedule is here. It looks like this. One of the things that I know that Heidi mentioned as well, and I would also continue to advocate for, is just having, especially the Redevelopment Commission that's going to have the growth arc that you all have, and just trying to manage different projects. I think having really good pulse on what the intended projects are, or if not even project specific, kind of functional areas of its spend. How much do you think you're going to spend by year in right of way or in major improvements or those redevelopment grants? Allows all of us to just provide better advice and also make sure that from a cash flow perspective, the money's there when you need it. You also see in this, it was very relevant, on this second page, your two largest projects in 2023 we show as unfunded, which leads to conversations around future bond issuances and plannings of kind of outsized financial events that are above and beyond your immediate TIF revenue and immediate cash on hand. Okay, so it shows you opportunities and challenges that you may have a year or two out. So as far as just good best practice, I would recommend that you as a commission think about that, maintain that. Certainly things change week to week. So just having an adaptive and a process that can be updated and be iterative rather than kind of a very rigid structure from a budgetary perspective, I think that's what we would recommend. So I'm happy to take any questions. Otherwise, if you'd like to make a motion to approve the budget today, that's great. Otherwise, really any time between now and probably your November meeting at the latest, we would just ask that you pass a recommended budget, and then we'll work to provide that to the Department of Local Government Finance to get all the appropriations in place to essentially bind the budget from an authorization standpoint for next year. I should also say that all of this is not in concrete, right? So budget is just a plan. So at any time, if you want to amend your budget, there's a couple different considerations. First, let's assume a scenario whereby you just say, hey, we don't need 500 grand and right away we need 500 grand in improvements, right? We just did a different category. That's a simple internal budget transfer. It's literally just you all passing a motion saying, hey, I'd like to move X to Y, okay? As long as there's no net budget increase, that can be all administered locally through the clerk treasurer's department. In a situation where you have an opportunity or a project that needs additional budget capacity that you don't currently have in your budget, that's referred to as an additional appropriation in the state of Indiana. That requires a board approval as well as the Department of Local Government Finance approval standpoint. And what really necessitates that is making sure that you have the cash balance to be able to justify that. I should also just say as an asterisk, any bond proceeds would be appropriated separately through that issuance process.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I don't think the TIF funds have to be appropriated though.
Yeah, so we've worked with the DLGF and they want to see it as a separate approved thing here. Yep. Yep. Not for gateway purposes.
Yeah, no, I just didn't think that TIF funds had to be appropriated legally.
Yep, so that's what we've been advised from their council and DLGF. So the budget's before you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, if you feel strongly to pass it, you can. Otherwise, it's like I said, between now and your November meeting, we just ask that they be passed.
I guess maybe two questions real quick, because I don't recall, why was the property tax $100,000 less than 21 compared to 20?
Your collection?
Yeah.
I'd have to take a look at that.
Okay, that's just significant, so I just didn't remember that. And then,
That's year to date.
Yeah, that's just.
oh, is that year to date?
That's one half. I think it's only through.
Oh, okay.
Is that one half of the year?
Yeah, the year to date is just through your June.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And then the 900,000, what's in 2020, what was that? There's a transfer out on the bottom expenditures, but there's a transfer in.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I can double check that. It looks like there was a transfer in and out in the past. I'm not exactly sure what the history was in 2020.
Those before all of us except Mark. You're having your recollection.
What was it?
The $900,000.
$900,000 transfer out.
I don't remember. Sorry.
Did it transfer back in?
Yeah.
Maybe it was just a bookkeeping kind of journal entry.
Or would we have had it, do they have to document that, if you transfer it out like an investment or?
Yeah, so they would have.
I remember seeing CDs or something. I don't know.
I'm not 100% sure either, so I'll do some homework and let you know. We can get that answered pretty quickly.
I've lived with this already a little bit because I was involved in the proposal. Do you folks need more time to digest this before we vote?
I would probably defer so, just because of the budgetary things and some of the.
Can we put this on the October agenda to
Absolutely.
review and approve them?
Just a real quick question, maybe it's very minor, but on the main one, it says 2021 actual year to date for expenses is, is that right, 2,626?
The 2006-26, yes,
Year to date expenses.
yes.
And then the physical activity on the little expense report says, am I reading it right? It says 6,901 of this one. I was just trying to tie some numbers together.
Which one is it?
Yeah.
Different periods, probably.
I'm just trying to look at, what is that physical activity year to date? I thought that might be the same.
Is your report through possibly,
It says 831.
that's the difference.
Okay.
For budget period, we'd used mid-year.
Oh, I got you, thank you.
Good question. So I will get an answer on the 900,000 and then we'll be back at your October meeting for a recommendation. Thank you.
Any other questions for Adam before we let him go?
That was very nice. And this is the best one I've ever seen.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, next item on the agenda is discussion regarding the priority areas of growth in current town projects. Anything new to report, Julie?
Not yet.
Okay. Just a couple things, a couple updates on projects. One, I think we saw the Baldwin Street progress as we drove in today. That is still on schedule and moving forward, so happy to see that. Along with that, they will be doing some mill and overlay work on Whiteland Road near Maple Grove School. So that's the next phase of that project that we'll see.
What was it, Julie?
So they'll be doing some mill and overlay work
Okay.
on Whiteland Road, west of 135. So that'll be their next phase. Whiteland to Saddle Club, we're working with the county to get that done. We'll go ahead and post when that work's gonna start so that everyone's aware of that. And then just a couple reminders, Homerama starts next weekend. Out at Aberdeen, so that'll run the next 3 weekends. For anyone that's not aware, Baggy's home show out there. Expecting roughly 10,000 people to come visit the town as part of that event. And
Thanks
then,
for paying.
thank the county,
I
so
figured
yeah,
that was just more baggy,
yeah.
but the residential owners on there, appreciate it.
Yep, it's had a lot of use with all that construction.
Yeah.
And then the town's working with Bargersville Main Street. There will be a concert on October 2nd out here. That's the latest thing we've added, so get
When
that.
does the farmer's market wind down?
It's through September, so every Wednesday through this month. Those are kind of the updates I have on events and projects.
Anybody have any questions for Julie?
Hey, Julie, can you also expand on the trail project, where we're at on that?
Yeah, so we received a grant from DNR for, I call it the connector trail, connecting Whiteland Road, from the Whiteland Road Trail along Saddle Club, and then down along 144 into downtown here. So we currently have Crossroad Engineers under contract. They're working on the design portion right now. And we are anticipating that that will be under construction next year.
Awesome. They go down the east side of Saddle Club?
Probably.
Okay.
So they're working on the right of way
They're working
acquisition,
on right away now, so.
but the goal would be for it to be completed by 4th of July, 2022.
Probably the only question I have relates to an existing project, I just don't know where it is, but the nursery or sundown or whatever that's called, I mean, is that going forward for sure?
I believe they've talked to the development department about starting that next year. And I want to say they've gone through development plan approval through the plan commission. So their next step would be actual construction plans for their.
All right. Thanks,
That's all I
Julie.
have.
Fantastic. Moving on to administrative items, we had the approval of claims. Did we have anything besides the Alton Witsu?
Legal.
Okay, I go past that. Didn't see that in the packet, I'm sorry.
And that's just a guess. Since we're having monthly meetings, we're
Yes, I'm sure there was a bill, I just don't remember what it was.
A bill for what? Oh,
Legal service.
Oh.
That's
there was a little,
Alton Witzig was at the very back end of the packet.
Yeah, I think they included that one because it was a little different. They included the entire information on that one. It's not your typical bill that you pay.
Right, that was the phase one for the
Correct.
plaza. Yeah. So do we need to vote to approve both of those items?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the legal bill in the Alton Witzig phase one?
I moved to approve legal and Alton Witzig services
We have
bill.
a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, roll call vote by voice vote, please.
Aye.
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 All right. Our next meeting is Thursday, October 14, same time, same place. Anybody have anything else before we adjourn? All right, we are adjourned.